Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Flightdeck Live. And I am very excited to tell you that the Montreal Alouettes, once again, this cardiac team manages to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat and hand the Calgary Stampeders a 23-21 loss at McMahon Stadium. I'm Cliffy D. That's Tim Capper, live from Calgary, by the way. Tim, let's get right into it, man. Like, you're on the field right now. What are the vibes right now, other than like sadness and dejection from Stampeder faithful?
Well, you had some football Canada, female football Canada players here tonight. They were going absolutely wild in the actual right after the game and stuff like that, with all the players are coming off field and whatnot. It is just, the Owls fans that were here, and there were some Owls fans here tonight. It was cool. It was just a great game in itself, man. And it's just such a blessing for me to be here today and to be able to watch the Owls win this game. And what a game that it was, man. I don't know where to start, and I know I won't be able to stay on for the entire show tonight, but I can't wait to talk about it.
Absolutely. And let me take this opportunity to remind everybody that this Flightdeck Live is powered by SportBuff. Go to sportbuffshop.com, use the promo code OWLSFlightDeck10 at checkout, and save 10% off your entire order. Tim, just watching the game here on TSN, it was a real defensive battle in the first half. But then slowly but surely, Montreal, Calgary, just back and forth. And I mean, like, this game, once again, right down to the wire, needed every last second to get that victory. How was the atmosphere in Calgary?
Well, let's put it this way. It's very fitting that the game was held in Calgary tonight, because it was a shootout from the wild, wild west. I really do. I mean, if you can, if we could cue up the song by Will Smith, we should do just that. But man, it was one hell of a game. I mean, this game itself, where the Alouettes were down, up by one at halftime. Didn't expect that. There's such a strong juggernaut of a team in Calgary. It's just the Alouettes were in the defense, was just able to control them and do everything that they could, and stop them when they need to. But we gotta admit, despite the career-long, I think it was a career-long field goal by Jose Matos that gave them the win. I think that obviously there was concern on the Stampeders' part when VA went down with what seemed to be a concussion. But that, to me, and with all honesty, besides the Matos kick, the game-winning kick, that was the turning point, really, in the fourth quarter, was VA going down.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the big things that you couldn't help but notice with Calgary was the injuries, not just to Vernon Adams, but also to Damian Alford, Adrian Green. I mean, arguably some of their bigger stars this season going down to injury against, again, you're playing a very tough Montreal defense that is also motivated to win, because let's face it, Tim, everybody and their mother thought the Calgary Stampeders were going to just walk all over the Alouettes, especially with Davis Alexander not being in the lineup, McLeod Bethel-Thompson looking less than stellar in his first two matches with the Alouettes. But this time around, I mean, he didn't look magnificent, but he was very serviceable. Do you think that's a fair statement to say about MBT's performance tonight?
I will admit, of the three starts that he's had so far this year, this was his best by far. Despite just one really interception that really should not have been thrown. We seem to have that every week with the quarterbacks that are starting for us. MBT had a hell of a game, and I will admit, this week's game was in MBT. We trust. We should have trusted him. The organization did what they needed to do, and Coach Moss had this team ready to play, because this is a juggernaut team. This is a juggernaut team in the Calgary Stampeders, and for the Alouettes to pass for, I think it was close to 300 yards. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because they turned off the scoreboard here behind me. But it was one hell of a game.
Yeah, just over 300 yards if you're including both McLeod Bethel-Thompson and Caleb Evans, who, by the way, that flea flicker was poetry in motion. I had to laugh because, you bring in Caleb Evans for short yardage. That's exactly what he does. Leave him in there. Okay, maybe catch him napping a little bit. And boy, did they catch them napping. I mean, that was just, again, there's no other way to describe that pass to Tyler Snead other than poetry in motion.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And you know what? And not everything was sunshine and roses tonight. Especially if you were sitting on the western, I was on the east side of the stadium where we're just getting absolutely roasted. By the way, note to anybody here who comes to McMahon, it's Tyler. Cole Speaker. He just again, I feel bad for the dude because he had some great catches tonight, but the problem is that there were catches that he should have had that he dropped. And they were catches that I said that these are the catches that he's been making all year. And just they were big plays, but still the Alouettes came out with a win.
Yeah, again, Cole Speaker had a game very similar to what he did against Toronto last week. Had a touchdown, a very beautiful touchdown, no less. But then when you need him to make a clutch catch, he just couldn't get the job done. It was just the roller coaster of emotion when it comes to dealing with Cole Speaker, because we think the world of him, but at the same time, you gotta make those catches. Full stop.
I agree with you 100%. And it seemed that to me that the game plan was to go to Austin Mack. The Big Mac had a great game tonight. He was able to feed Peter his stats here, tell him what he had for the night. But up into that last catch, it's a lot of people, despite what you would be able to tell me, with me being here in the stadium. His last non-catch, which the replay said wasn't a catch. I mean, it seemed to be a good catch from where I was. But anyways, Mac had a great night, even leading up to his, which seemed to be getting hurt on that actual play itself.
Yeah, it looks like he fell on the ball as he was trying to receive. He had made the catch. Well, no, actually, according to the replay center, he did not make the catch. Landed on the ball and. Yeah, it was almost like the ball knocked the wind out of him. At least I'm hoping that's all it was, because, Austin Mack, he was on one tonight and was looking very solid.
He was. I mean, it was just an overall thing. The Alouettes didn't do that did really that well in rushing tonight at all. But I think right near the end of the game is where SDE stood up. They got him to run when he needed to and get the yards to get that first down, get the Alouettes into that position to get that first down. But man, again, this whole thing goes to the game plan itself, and it was funny. I didn't even make a second guess when I saw that Maltos was lining up for that 56 yard. Not even
57.
An inkling. Sorry, 57. Not even a thought, an afterthought of what. Why are they going for it? Because I think we knew that he could make it, especially here. It cooled down a little bit here over at McMahon, but after being able to stay here today. So, yeah, okay. But it was still. Yeah, I know. By the way, I didn't know what it was. What was the official attendance announced here tonight at McMahon?
At McMahon, hold on. Let me see if I've got those right away.
Because I know they didn't announce it in stadium.
And I got to admit, just watching on TV, the corners of the end zones were full and leading out to the 20-yard line. But after that, it was like dribs and drabs. So far, not seeing anything attendance-wise. Yeah,
I haven't got the stats in yet from the CFL, so I can't even project what it is. Somebody's maybe it was posted on socials. Let us know, and we'll mention it obviously on the show on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, let's talk about VA. I mean, he was motivated tonight because he always plays really well. He was 3-0 career lifetime facing the Alouettes as the starting quarterback, and my heart goes out to him. It really does. I mean, we love VA. We've known him for years. We've absolutely loved the way he plays football. Just a great guy on and off the field. But I mean, he was looking good in a lot of spurts, but then I feel like in the second half, he just kind of, those incompletions were just not, like it was all of a sudden having a hard time clicking with the receivers. And yes, doesn't have Damien Alford to throw to him. I mean, you still have Dominique Rhymes, you still have Jalen Philpott, who also too was looking good at first, but then sort of disappeared in the second half. What do you think it was with VA as far as like before he got knocked out of the game? What do you think it was where all of a sudden VA wasn't looking like big play VA?
VA, you know what? It's funny. We have seen the Jekyll and Hyde of VA over the years. VA has done a lot to improve his game itself, and I think at certain points tonight, just VA wasn't on. I honestly think that the Norththorpe defense was really confusing him and frustrating him. You know, considering, and I think I lost count. I think there was at least 4 or 5 potential chances at interceptions from VA tonight. The Alouettes didn't get one, but I think this goes to show how much pressure they got to him. Even though I don't think they didn't sack him before he went out. I think they sacked the other quarterback right near the end of the game, but still, it's VA again. We've seen VA have bad games before, but again, our thoughts to him.
Yeah. Let's talk about the what I feel is potentially the TSN turning point was the fumble by Dedrick Mills that was recovered by Darnell Sankey, stripped away or punched out, I should say, actually by Lawal Ugalak. Wow, I mean, like it really felt like Calgary scored in their first possession in the second half, and they looked like they were ready to do it again, but then Mills coughs up the ball. Montreal gets it back. Even though they didn't get any points off of that turnover, it still felt like the momentum was starting to slowly shift towards Montreal again. And even though MBT was going to just dink and dunk his way down, and it's boring football, but it turns out to be winning football as well. Would you say that that interception essentially is what turned the tide of momentum over to the Montreal Alouettes?
There were a few things, and I think obviously the turnover was big because it allowed the Alouettes. Because really in that third quarter, I gauged it wrong. But I thought they had less potentials at drives or actual drives in that third quarter itself. But I was wrong. They each had 3 apiece. But of course, that was the big thing. Of course, that was big because despite it being only a 7-point lead at that point, Calgary was dominating that third quarter. They really were, and they needed a stop. They got it when it was necessary, and despite Coach Moss kicking the field goals when he did, and thinking, was this going to end up being another 1-point game for the Alouettes? No, that wasn't the case. So it's, of course, that to me, that was one of the turning points.
Yeah, and again, when Montreal would build momentum, I mean, ultimately they had to settle for field goals in that second half, and give them credit, they kicked just enough to win this game. And again, I am still in awe of Jose Maltos. And that is a team record, by the way, 57-yard field goal that's been set. My goodness.
Amazing.
And the arm. I mean, absolutely incredible. 4 field goals from Jose Maltos this evening. Did you notice that on the back of his jersey, it now says Maltos Diaz?
No, couldn't see it from where it was in the field, but actually, is he standing right? Currently, Joey is talking to Cloud, Bethel Thompson, and he was out here earlier, so but I didn't see the back of his jersey. So it's something to ask him. Something to ask him going forward. So, and obviously at the beginning of the game too, finding out that Najee Murray wasn't going to play, he was a late scratch. So, still the defense. What a game plan again! As I said, I've been looking and Coach Jason Moss.
Yeah, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, though. Oh my goodness, he's came this close to having a beautiful pick off of PJ Walker, and just couldn't close. It's just, oh.
Thank you, PJ Walker. That's who it is. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was just tough to watch. I feel for Dequoy because you could tell that he wants to get back to that form, that 2023 form that led him to being nominated as the most outstanding Canadian for the Eastern Division, essentially winning a Grey Cup that same year as well. But it feels like he's always been just a little short when it comes to making that, back-breaking play to help this defense out. And I just hope for his sake, it's going to come. It's just sooner. We'd like it sooner rather than later, obviously.
Yeah, obviously that's for sure. I'm just in awe tonight. The team stepped up when they needed to, but I mean, they beat a very good Calgary team, and it's this is something that we're seeing that's happening in the CFL this year when it comes to starting quarterbacks. But still, man, I'm really impressed. Really impressed with what happened here tonight at McMahon/McMahon Stadium.
Or is it only when Toronto plays at McMahon Stadium do you call it that? I don't know. We'll have to.
I don't know.
We'll have to get a ruling on that, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, so it looks like my time is about to be limited here on the field, but I want to thank, again, I'm blessed to be here today, and I do have to give a shout out to the Stampeders organization for getting us these field passes via the one and only VA. So I want to thank them with all my heart, and it's really appreciated, and we hope we did you proud by giving me access, but we are about to be kicked off.
All right, before I let you go, let's once again, folks, if you haven't already, make sure, however you're following the Montreal or however you're following the Alouettes Flight Deck, make sure you like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're following, hit the notification bell. You know, again, exciting times once again for the Montreal Alouettes. I mean, it wasn't pretty. It was a gutty 1-2 point victory, but they all count. Ugly wins count just as much as the other ones. I mean, what else can be said at this point? Tim, before I let you go, give your quick and dirty review of McMahon Stadium as an opposing fan. Were you giving it? Was anyone giving you the gears? Was anybody razzing you for being an Alouette supporter?
Not at all. Not at all. So I don't know what the actual video, the attendance was here tonight, but first time here at McMahon. It's a very unique place where where the scoreboard is located. But the other portion you got to walk all the way around. It's kind of like a horseshoe here at McMahon. It's your typical old school college stadium, really, the old school stuff. It's a nice place. I wouldn't want to live here, but it does need some TLC, I will admit.
Any wacky food items that you had a chance to try?
No, it was a standard fare. It was a standard fare, with all honesty. I will say, I don't think the Alouettes do it at Personal Molson, but they had cider here, and you know your boy is a ciderite. So
there you go. It's very easy to make Tim very happy, ladies and gentlemen. Just make sure the cider is on, make sure it's cold, and he's just gonna have himself a good old time.
Yeah, exactly. So
awesome.
Again, thanks everybody. Don't forget to boot me out. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys. We will talk to you on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Once again, that's Tim Capper live from Calgary's McMahon Stadium, where he got to witness the Montreal Alouettes squeak out a 23-21 victory over the Calgary Stampeders. I'll let you go, Tim. Get some rest, enjoy, and we'll talk to you later.
Have fun, guys. Thanks, boys.
All right. All right. Wow. Okay. You know what? I still want to stick around and talk to all of y'all. So I see some comments in there. Let me throw those up there. Let's have a little chit chat. Why don't we? Because this was exciting. What a game. And what makes me laugh more than anything else is everybody and their mother picked the Calgary Stampeders to win. And you know what? I don't blame them. I mean, no Davis Alexander. Vernon Adams has just been playing outstanding football. Damien Alford, as far as I'm concerned right now, like front runner for Rookie of the Year in the Canadian Football League. But you take those two guys out of the lineup, and Calgary's still a very good team. Still have a lot of weapons, but it really shows how important it is to have a good starting quarterback. And also, I think this also is a lesson into making sure that you invest in your backup quarterback, because you never know when your starter goes down. You need someone to step in and be able to do the job. Kind of like how McLeod Bethel Thompson's been doing now for the Montreal Alouettes. Yes, the first two games were a little shaky. He damn near won the second one, and probably could have if it wasn't for some other extenuating circumstances. But again, that's in the past. Give him full marks. It wasn't pretty football that he played tonight, but he got the win, and you can't ask for more than that. But ultimately, I think the player of the game, the MVP, has to go to Jose Maltos with not one, not two, not three, but four field goals, including the 57-yarder that ultimately iced this game for Montreal. Absolutely incredible. Speaking of that field goal, we got our man Chris Bouquet. TSN said would have cleared even if it was a 65-yard kick. They're not wrong. I mean, he had the leg, and kind of funny to think about too, like Rene Paredes, who again is the kicker for the Calgary Stampeders. He bricked the point after attempt, and I'm like, wait, what? That's just something he doesn't do, especially at home. It's just not something that's in his wheelhouse. But okay, everybody has a bad night, and I'm not saying he's a terrible kicker by any stretch. I mean, getting up there in age. He's not a young man anymore. And I believe, if I heard correctly, or I heard rumblings that this may be his last season as a kicker in the Canadian Football League. I mean, if he's still doing it, I mean, listen, kickers can go well into their 40s, but I guess we'll see if Rene Paredes really does make this his final year, or if he still has that fire in him to keep on going. But Jose Maltos, my God, as I said, outstanding stuff. Who else we got in here? Our buddy Claude from the tailgate in Montreal. There will be cider at the next tailgate. Tim, I don't know if you can hear that, but cider at the next tailgate for you, buddy. I mean, not that we're encouraging everybody to drink. I always say drink responsibly, but our man Tim is very much a cider guy, and I think he'll definitely appreciate. By the way, the next game at home is next Saturday, August 2nd, versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You know the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Montreal Alouettes, always play outstanding football at Percival Molson Stadium. So if you don't have your tickets, I strongly advise you go get them, because it'll be the return of Trevor Harris, who has been playing some pretty decent football for the Riders this year. Or, maybe we'll see how he fares against one McLeod Bethel Thompson, who he faced in the Eastern Final. Was it 3 years ago? As MBT was a member of the Argos. Trevor Harris was a member of the Alouettes. But these two quarterbacks, these two old timers, they know each other pretty well. So I think it's going to make for a very fun game as well. What else we got in the comments here? Our man Chris again. The last play to Mac was a catch. You know what? I wanted to believe that was going to be a catch, and it really felt like it happened so fast, but there was just enough movement, and it just gave just that much doubt. And it's like, you know what? No, it's not. And what really sucks is that Mac kind of, I feel like he fell onto the ball and got the wind knocked out of him, so that took him out for a little bit, which sucks because, again, he's been dealing with hamstring problems over the past couple of games, and to see him back in the lineup, back doing what he does best, Le Big Mac, we definitely want that. We definitely want to make sure that Austin Mack is good and ready to go. So I'm really hoping that's all it was just getting the wind knocked out of him. And, it happens. What are you going to do? Got to talk about this defense. I mean, so good to see Lorenzo Burns back in the lineup as well. What a player that guy is. I mean, he has really won me over, especially considering last year he was out of place. Like, it really looked lost. And I for the life of me, I could not figure it out. But give him credit. Like, he's back. He was also back from injury as well, and definitely played some absolutely incredible football. So props to him. I think he came close to having an interception as well in this game, and he was making Vernon's life a bit of a tough one. So yes, oh my goodness, talk about out of nowhere, Regis Sibasu. It seems like every year he has at least one game where he just does some absolutely outstanding stuff. And tonight, 2 catches, but boy, oh boy, were those 2 outstanding catches, and catch and runs too. I mean, man, big body receiver, fullback almost. He seems to do a little bit of everything in the backfield for the Alouettes. So I mean, like a Swiss Army knife, I guess is the best way to describe Regis Sibasu. A special teams demon as well. Good to see him get a couple of reps, and yeah, only 2 receptions. But man, if you're only going to get 2 receptions, you better make them pretty as hell. And the fact that, again, McLeod Bethel Thompson was able to establish a rhythm with him, and with all the he found 8 different receivers this evening. Again, I give him a lot of credit. I was not sure. I was thinking big time about Caleb Evans getting the opportunity, but MBT, he did the thing, and that's all you can ask is just go out there and don't lose this game. And when you threw that pick early on in the game, I was like, oh God, okay. Can we please see Caleb Evans? Something. I mean, something's got to change in this. But give him credit. It wasn't pretty football. I will say he's very much a pocket passer. No Superman leaps from him tonight. So I guess he must have heard us talk about, like, please don't do that. Don't do something that's going to cause potential for you to be injured. Just stay in the pocket, stay on the ground, and just make plays happen. And that's exactly what he did. A lot of it was dink and dunk. But you know what? That seems to be the norm nowadays. If you're not a flashy Trey Ford, Davis Alexander type of player where you're mobile and you're making plays happen, pulling stuff out of your ass, I mean, it's you're going to be a dink and dunker. And listen, a lot of quarterbacks do that, and they do it very well. So, I mean, if that's how MVT is going to win football games, so much the better. Every win counts, as far as I'm concerned. Wow. So it definitely looked like Calgary itself. I mean, they're a hell of a team. They really are. And just like Montreal losing last second against the BC Lions at home, that I got a lot of those vibes for Calgary. Again, they've got some great talent. They've got some exciting players. You knock those guys out of the game, it definitely changes the momentum, definitely changes how they approach things. And I feel like they, towards the end, especially with PJ Walker under center, I mean, this guy clearly is not getting the reps that VA is getting. And that may have to change depending on how serious it was. I mean, it's funny because VA didn't suffer like a headshot or anything like that, but I mean, he got sandwiched between two Alouette defenders, and he was wobbly. I mean, I'm talking like just, like stumbling out of the club kind of wobbly. And we do not want to see that for Vernon Adams or anybody for that matter. But I mean, our man VA, I mean, we got nothing but love for him, and we want to see him at his absolute best. We want to say that we walked into Calgary and beat the best. And that's essentially what happened tonight, because Vernon did play all the way up until the fourth quarter when he got annihilated there. So thoughts for him, hoping for the best, obviously. VA's always going to be our guy. So, wow, man. All right. Well, you know what? It's close to 1 o'clock in the morning here in Montreal. So I think we're going to take this down to, and we're going to call it a night, because this was absolutely exciting. I mean, now the Montreal Alouettes are 5-2 on the season. They come home next Saturday. They will be facing the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Another tough test, but you know what? This team is all about the tough test. They want the smoke. They want to showcase what they can do. I mean, whether it's this Noel Thorpe defense, they're just carving people up. If MBT now all of a sudden has found his groove and he's getting on with his receivers, still able to hand the ball off to guys like Sean Thomas Erlington, Travis Tice, baby, too cool, and so on. I mean, Montreal right now, a lot of people were expecting the worst. They thought with Davis Alexander out of the lineup, there was going to be doom and gloom. This team's going to be in the toilet. It's like the saying goes, they wrote us off, but we ain't wrote back. So that's basically your Montreal Alouettes right now, ladies and gentlemen. Before I let you go, gotta say, this Alouettes Flight Deck Live has been sponsored or powered by SportBuff. Once again, www.sportbuffshop.com. Use the promo code, save 10% off your order. Make sure you're following us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit a thumbs up, leave a comment, as most of you have been doing all night. Absolutely incredible. Oh, hold on. No quit. Exactly. Do you know, Josh, do you know how many people I was reading on social media? Like, oh, the Alouettes are cooked. They're done. We're screwed. Blah, 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 blah. Once again, let the haters hate, because this team, they find a way to win. I always say winners find a way to win. And that's exactly what the Montreal Alouettes did tonight. They found the way to win. It was not pretty. It's not going to win any style points. You're not going to look back at this game and say, holy cow, this is good. They're going to have to play this on ESPN Classics. Nah, it's not about that. But they got the dub. And that's really all that matters, is going out and getting the W. 5-2 right now. Again, if you're watching us on X, make sure you're following, make sure you hit the notifications so that when we do go live, whether it's with Flight Deck Live or when a new episode of the Flight Deck drops, you'll be notified. Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. You can find us there. Not that hard to find. Make sure if you're not already, follow my man Repact, REPPACT, on every social media. Cliffy D, should be a follow, show me the love, and make sure always to follow the Alouettes Flight Deck on Twix. That's Alouettes FL Deck. You know where to find us. AlouettesFlightDeck.ca. You know the vibes. That's what's going on, folks. So once again, the Montreal Alouettes go to Calgary, to McMahon Stadium, if you know, you know, and they win 23-21 over the Calgary Stampeders. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Tim Capper, all the way out in Calgary, I'm Cliffy D. We'll talk to you soon.